I'm literally running into studio today. Mark Wagner here, another episode of DentalBytes. We might not be talking about so much dentistry today, but connection and focusing on, drawing thought to a singular spot. I've met my guest through networking, and the stronger your network is, I think it just puts you in a better position just in life in general. So without further ado, I'm going to bring my guest on here. See if I didn't blow it too much today. So Johnathan, Reid, how are you doing today? You're kind of on the other side of the planet, so it's a little later for you.
I'm doing really, really well. Thanks for asking. Yeah. And yeah, it's I think about 8 p.m. 8 p.m. right now. Oh, okay. But I'm happy to be here speaking with you, of course.
Awesome. So a little bit about yourself. Let's kind of dive into sort of your evolution, how you got into, your Reidentify, right? Am I saying that correctly? How you got into that? Close, yeah. Close. I just as long as I'm close, right? I get correct. I don't claim to be a professional, so I stumble across these things. So a little bit about yourself, what you represent, and let's hear it.
Amazing, thanks, Mark. And it's Reidentify. So
you're right in saying
Reidentify because that's my last name, Reid and Identify. Yeah. But the way I say it is Reidentify. So
it's like you're kind of re-identifying yourself. It's like a sort of like an evolution.
Absolutely, it's like an evolution, and I feel like that's one thing that we actually take brands through, and it's a perfect segue onto what we do. So, or what I do, I guess. So I run a B2B thought leadership agency. So I help B2Bs become thought leaders through the power of a podcast. And essentially, the way that we do that is we take the podcast off of their hands. The team will actually, edit it, do all the relevant stuff to get it out there on all the different platforms, get out all the short form media and everything like that, and then we actually consult you into how to leverage all of that information and all of that content that you're creating into turning you into a thought leader. And that's essentially what I do on a daily basis.
So as a guy, like starting off in this, doing this stuff, like I've got like major social anxiety. So there's such a challenge there personally, and this is for me. It's been like I always like go face to face with my challenges, sort of thing. So what would you say to folks out there that have thought about being on a podcast and launching something like this as part of their content, their marketing program? What would you say, and how would you in your business help these folks overcome personal challenges with being on front of the camera even?
Well, first and foremost, in terms of, I think the first question was, what was it? Why people should jump on podcasts?
Yeah, why? Sure, let's just answer it all. Answer all the questions.
Absolutely. So why people should jump on podcasts? Well, first and foremost, it gives you a nice practice for communication, because the more podcasts that I've done, the better a communicator I've become. And then people would tell me this as I speak to them, networking events, podcasts, public speaking as well. Like I've spoken at companies like Microsoft, IBM, HSBC, off the back of the podcast that we run. And I've been able to become a much better communicator because of the podcast that I've been on, or the sheer amount of talking that I do. Like, if you really want to become good at something, just do a whole lot of it. Do a lot of reps. I'm not sure about you, Mark, but I like the gym. So whenever I'm in the gym, I know exactly what I need to do. I just need to lift weights and lift a lot of them and a lot of times. And I know that I'll grow, right? And it's the same thing about being on camera as well. If you're on camera a lot and you're talking to a lot of people from different backgrounds and such. So for example, as you said, we're literally on the other side of the world right now, but we're speaking and we're having a great conversation. And that's because we can both communicate, and we can both communicate effectively. And the fact that we can both communicate effectively means that other people who are listening, will be able to actually be engaged, because they're listening to good communicators. So one good thing about being on a podcast, or being, talking on podcasts and starting your own, is that you actually become a better communicator. Another thing I would say is growing your network. Oh, Mark, you just spoke about networking, and networking is one of the biggest things I've got from actually running a podcast and running multiple podcasts. Actually, it just expands the network just exponentially as soon as you start it. And you get, the funny thing is, you get access to people that you wouldn't usually get access to. Like, a lot of people want to get on a podcast, but not everybody wants to have a coffee with you.
Yeah, no, and that's such. Hey, and you're on a dental podcast today, so there you go. Yeah. What do you know about dentistry, Johnathan?
You know, it's I actually went for a small consultation the other day, which was pretty interesting.
Cool.
And yeah, it was really nice. I, for one, actually like the dentist, but when I was going there, the lady came out saying, "I hate the dentist." I was like, I'm the complete opposite. I love the dentist. I love speaking to them and everything like that. So that's as much as I know about dentistry. A small consultation that I had recently.
Well, that's good. What do you need a small consultation for? You look like you have a beautiful smile. What the heck?
Oh, thanks.
What are you having done?
For me, okay, see, this is why I barely know anything about it, but I think I'm getting my teeth straightened, and because I had, back in the day, I had 2 of my teeth taken out. So I think it was this one, the ones next to the 2 front teeth.
Okay.
Or one of them wasn't there in the first place and had the other one taken out.
Gotcha.
So I want to get that straightened and the bottom straightened as well. And then maybe some whitening or something. That's what they recommended. And then I actually have an underbite as well. So this is something I knew from a while ago, but the orthodontist originally scared me. And he said, "Okay, so we're going to have to break your jaw." I said, "You're going to have to break my what?"
Yeah, I'm up. Yeah, sorry about that.
We're gonna have to break your jaw. And I said, "You're gonna my jaw?" Yeah. It won't be that. I said, "That is scary. I don't want my jaw broken." So now we're years down the line, gone to my small consultation, and she said, "Yeah, he scared you. It's not as serious as he made it sound." And I said, "Okay, it's something that I might consider." But to be honest, I'm pretty happy with my smile. So for me, it's not that I'm not in a big rush, but yeah, I just had the opportunity to go and have a smile consultation. So I thought I'd do it anyway. But as you can see, I smile a lot. So I'm pretty comfortable with my smile.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. Yeah. No, I mean, do you suffer from like headaches and things like that? That's, part of not having, if you have an underbite, that's might be part of it too, right?
I mean, every now and then, but not more than the average person.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. Okay. So let's jump into this. So like, A to Z, like somebody starts off with you, where do they end up? What's the pathway look like? What's that journey look like?
Well, if we're starting at the very beginning, people come in at different stages. So some people already have a podcast, some people don't have a podcast already. But we usually like to work with the people who have a podcast because they already have the fundamentals there. They have the fundamentals, they have everything ready to get started, or for us to take over. That's probably the better way of saying it, for us to take over, because they have all of the processes in place. We can just come and we can optimize them. That's something we're very good at doing, is optimizing the process. But we also do have the tools for people who are just getting started. And what's funny about people who are just getting started, they think that they need a lot more than they actually do. And that's something that I see over and over and over again. I'm not sure, was that similar to you when you started?
Well, I'm a nerd, so I'll tell you how I started. So I watched several YouTube videos just on cameras and software. And, by the time I turned everything on, I had a really good idea of what I needed to do. So,
nice.
I researched everything. I built this room. Actually started without this room. This is kind of like all part of it, but bit of a process. And I think, you just have to decide to do these things. You got to jump in and you just got to go. It's I think how we grow as people too, if, kind of facing your fears and figuring things out. The information is so available, putting a dishwasher in at home. You watch a couple YouTube videos, and if you're brave enough, you just kind of do it, right? Like Nike has the right slogan. Just do it. And I think you talk about reps, like focusing on one thing and doing reps. And I think the more you challenge yourself, the more you realize you look at something and go, and you kind of scope it out. And it's not so much, I guess it is confidence over time, right? Or, if a human being can do that, they have 2 hands and 2 feet and a mind. I could probably figure this stuff out too. It might take me a little bit longer, but as long as and two, like in the beginning, and still, like I mess up all the time. I'm pressing the wrong buttons and my sound will be off. But like these are the things that I notice, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like an artist, like they'll or a baker or somebody that's cooking. It's like they'll never like their own meal because I think everybody's so hard on themselves. It's kind of a sad thing, and what causes that? I think because everybody's really putting themselves out there through social media, or like I think everybody critiques themselves just that much more, right? So, and I think over time, like honestly, I think everybody's just kind of thinking about themselves more than they're thinking about like you messing up, right?
That's it. Honestly,
yeah. And if it's too polished and too perfect, it's not real. You can sniff these things. You can sniff the things that are scripted and like perfected. Even in the marketing that I do with clients, it's really the focus is to draw them out, and we talk about like getting introverts comfortable to be in front of camera to talk about why somebody should come to their practice. It's sad. Like I think this world might be a little bit of a better place if everybody was just kind of more comfortable to just kind of be themselves, and not really, but I'm in the profession too, like dentistry. These dentists deal with folks all day long that are like smiling in the mirror and critical of themselves. And you know what I mean? It's
honestly,
yeah. So I think, yes, to have the know-how and all the technology and all the the software and, it's at the end of the day, just having to do it the first time, right? To do it the first time, to turn on the on button and just go for it. That's
it.
I love that stuff personally. It's like, I'm okay goofing up. You know what I mean? Like, I've got 2 little kids and, and teaching them too is part of it is like, you're not going to be perfect the first time. Like, what is it, like 10,000 hours before you become an expert at something?
Become
right?
a master. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And one thing I like to say a lot as well is the one vitamin that people are always ultra deficient in is vitamin U. Like people need you. People need you and what you bring to the market, your unique spin on things, your unique spin on your expertise and your unique spin on your experience, because your experience actually helps to form that expertise from your unique angle. And it's that vitamin U that creates. That's what people need. People need you. Like there is a segment of the audience that needs to hear from you and you specifically. And then you not putting content out there and you not putting yourself out there is a disservice to these people because they need to hear from you. But then until you put yourself out there, what are they supposed to do? They'll be listening to someone that isn't going to serve them to the level that you can serve them. So that's another way that I like to reframe things for clients, because ultimately a lot of the time they're in their own head. They're in their own head and they're thinking, what will this person think of me? What will these people think of me? What will my followers, the audience think of me? But ultimately, Mark, you just said it. Everyone just cares about themselves. They're thinking, what can I get out of this? So what they can get out of this is the value that you provide. And the value that you provide doesn't have to come in a perfectly shaped box with a perfect ribbon on top and polished and spray painted your favorite color. It doesn't have to come like that. It just has to come. The gift just has to come. Like, what's the point in having a gift and keeping it to yourself? Gifts are meant to be given. You're supposed to give presents. You're supposed to give your gifts. And the thing is, you have been gifted with something within you. There is something within you that you can give to the world, but you holding it is a disservice to the world.
You know how, like, I've been thinking about this and just like purpose. I think about it quite often. You know what I mean? Like we're all here to give that gift that we have, and like this is such an amazing time to be a human being. Like we can make this world seem that much more small, and I think the more we communicate the more progress we'll make as a collective. And I think we're in like the day and age that if we're not all working together, we're kind of in big trouble. You know, like that's sort of the existential side of things. But I know in running a business too, is if you're not putting yourself out there and networking, asking for help, you know, we're taught we go to school so that it puts us that much more further along in our lives, right? Like we're here for a finite time. So, and I think personally, I think the meaning of life is to, you know, you're a child, you learn sort of the basics, then you cultivate whatever the gift that it is that you have. And then you impart that with people, you give it away, you teach people how to do it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you monetize it and it's your business, right? As long as you're not out there to like take advantage, I think. And just being a genuine human and giving back that. Yeah, I love it. Like I think about this kind of stuff all the time.
Absolutely. And this is the thing. I think we lose it sometimes. Like we lose track of what our purpose is and why we're here. And ultimately, I believe purpose is rooted in other people. We are put here to help other people. We're here to help other people. It's about connections. Humans need connections. If we even look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like it's a good hierarchy because we all need them. Like we all need everything that's on that hierarchy, right? And then one of these things is connections. We need connections with other human beings. And how do you form a connection? It's by helping people, by spending time with them. Right. And if you can do that through contact or through content rather, and spread your reach across the internet, the thing that we have in a time like this, why not? Why not? And there's so much out there that is pulling our attention away from the things that really matter. And the things that really matter are the people around us, is connections, is genuine people. Like even yourself, Mark, like I really like the way that you carry yourself and I like the way that you operate. Like, honestly, I'm not just saying this to make you smile, but honestly, I do like the way you operate. You were the first person, I think we had this discussion, you were the first person to send a LinkedIn video to me. Like I never received a LinkedIn video before. The amount of time that I've been on LinkedIn, and you see how active I am as well. You probably see my face pop up a lot. But you were the first person to send a LinkedIn video where you were just recording it, talking to the camera, showing me the studio. It was amazing. I loved it. And I'm all here for that. And I think that's what it's all about, really. Just helping people and building connections. And
really, like, some connections are easier to make. Like, and I throw that back at you too. Like I see the things that you're doing and like, man, I wanted to touch base with you and reach out and connect with you. And like, that's cool that you're open and willing to sort of communicate. Because I think, you know, like the selfish part for me, or maybe just the thing that I see over time, the more people that I connect with, that I, you know, sometimes it's oil and water and there's not a way. But the more you do, the more you know, the more your mind expands. And the selfish part is like you grow as a person, you know, and that's for me. I look back over 5 years, even just doing this podcast. Like you spoke.
Oh, congratulations, by the way.
Yeah,
5 years.
It's, you know, it's not a huge audience. Obviously, we're super niche, right? It's dentistry, and we're capped because of that. I've thought about, you know, starting my own podcast at some point, but thank you very much. Like, and I see that you're in the category of the top 5 most downloaded podcasts on Spotify. I'm in big company here. Like how
it was most shared. It was most shared.
How do you get to that point? Like, is it just doing your reps? Like, is it guests? Like, what would you say that got you there?
I would say the main things that got us there was, number one, repetitions. So we started on Clubhouse. So this is the other podcast that I was telling you that we're actually shutting down, unfortunately. But unfortunately, debatable. But we started out on Clubhouse. We built an audience on there, and I think one of the key themes you'll see is connection and community. So we started on Clubhouse. We built community/audience on there. The community/audience asked us to make a podcast. We made a podcast. The community asked us to make events, We made events. The community asked us to come and speak at the schools across the UK. They asked us to speak at corporates as well. So as I said, spoke at Microsoft, IBM, HSBC, companies like that, off the back of the podcast that we started, which wasn't even supposed to be a podcast in the start. We literally just started it because we wanted to speak about mindset, personal development, and
That's
purpose.
cool.
That's it.
Yeah.
We just started that on Club. We started it on the phone. I was sitting in my room? I think I was sitting in my room on the phone to my friend. We were just talking about a book that we were reading called Atomic Habits. Not sure if you read it before.
I'm going to write that one
And
down.
please do.
Who was
It's
it
one of the
by?
best. It is by, I want to say it's not Simon Sinek, is it? You'll find it. If you type in Atomic Habits, you'll find it. Trust me, it will come
Okay.
up. But I can't remember who it's by. But it's definitely one of the books that have changed my life. And we were
James
talking
Clear.
about it.
There we go.
James Clear. That's it. That's the guy. James Clear. That's it.
Ordered.
Yeah. Perfect. Amazing. Yeah. Action takers. I love action takers.
Yeah.
And we were on the phone and we said, why don't we just bring this to Clubhouse, because we don't see many other people in our community speaking about this. We brought it there. People like this fresh perspective. They like to hear stuff like this, and it was such a contrast to a lot of the other stuff that was on Clubhouse as well. There was a lot of talks that we didn't really want to get involved in, so we just brought what we were interested in. We got a community around that, and it was the community that pushed it. There was a community that shared it. It was a community that were listening on Spotify. It was a community that was tapping in on social media. We were able to generate millions of social media views just because of our perspectives and because of the fun that we were having as well with the different guests as well. That's a key thing too. I'd say that's a big not checkpoint, but a big thing to remember is to be getting on the right guests who align with you, so who align with your principles and who align with your brand, and also guests who have an audience themselves, which is key. Because on a platform like TikTok and a platform like Instagram, social media in general, if you have a guest on your podcast that already has an audience and already has a following on the platform that you are trying to hit and you are trying to be on as well, it's much easier for you to gain traction for your podcast, because their audience will come and join your audience if they like your vibe.
That's
on the
right.
podcast, and if they like the information, and if they like the conversation and the communication that was going on the episode, right? So you have to make sure the episode's good as well.
Yeah.
And I also think our character and us not being shy to show a bit of ourselves and to be vulnerable. I think vulnerability is a big thing, because when you're vulnerability, I like to call it a door. Vulnerability opens a door for other people to be vulnerable with you. So when you're vulnerable, they can be vulnerable with you too. Like literally, Mark, somebody reached out to us and said, if it wasn't for our podcast, they might not be here.
Oh, wow.
And
That's the highest compliment. Wow.
Honestly. And I wasn't even, I'm a man who likes to speak, and I was lost for words after that, Mark. I didn't know what to say, because I was just imagining, imagine if we just weren't on the phone talking about mindset, about James Clear and Atomic Habits. Imagine if we didn't decide to get on Clubhouse. Imagine if we didn't decide to start up the podcast. Imagine if we didn't decide to host the events that people asked us to host, which had hundreds of people attend, sorry. And now when I go out because I'm from London, when I go out into the city, people will stop me and they'll say, I know you're from somewhere. I say,
that's cool. Yeah.
You might do. And they're like, yeah, you have a podcast, or you're on TikTok. I don't like the TikTok one, Mark. I don't like being known as a TikToker, but I guess I am.
Yeah.
But they say, I'm pretty sure I know you from somewhere, and it's usually from TikTok, where we got the millions of views, or it's from Instagram, or it's from YouTube or Spotify. Just the other day, actually, I was coming back from an event. It was an investors event, and I got stopped on the tube, and a guy said, I just subscribed to you. I said, that's amazing. I appreciate that.
Wow.
And then he was on the way back from another event as well. So it's really nice to build that connection, to build that community. And here's another thing as well. When you are vulnerable, and because we've been so vulnerable, people speak to us like they know us. Because we built that connection with them over so long. Someone will call my name. They'll say, Johnathan. I'll look around and I will see nobody that I know, because I don't know them, but they know me, or they feel like they know me because they've listened to me for hours. And this is one of the biggest keys with podcasting as well, because even though there are so many people in this world, sorry, I just thought my wire came out, but it's all good. There are so many people in this world, and we want to impact as many as possible. How do we do that? We need leverage.
Yeah.
We need leverage, and a podcast gives you leverage to do that and to build connections at scale. A podcast is a way to build connections at scale. And this is the thing that we've been doing. And I think this is what helped us to get that from Spotify. It's because we built connections at scale. That's the reason that people come up to us in public. That's the reason that people come to our events. That's the reason that people engage with us on social media, is because they built a connection with us.
Yeah.
And that's just by us talking.
My favorite podcaster is by far Lex Friedman. You know, as a nerd, as a consumer of, you know, I love information, and his guests are incredible. He Amazing. Had Paul Rosalie on, and his last podcast, he was in the middle of the Amazon jungle just talking about
what?
He went this Paul Rosalie, I think it's Rosalie, invited. He's like a rainforest keeper, right? He's a protector of the rainforest, and he invited Lex Friedman down to the Amazon jungle, and they were somewhere in Peru having this conversation, just like about the planet, like the our impact as human beings on the planet, and you know, and just like this whole existential like thought about, you know, just us being here and life, and it's an incredible conversation. And the fact that they're like, they were in a in an area where, like, on a per scale, like a per mile scale, there's more life in that per mile or per kilometer square than there has been any life at any point of time. And like a good podcast, you feel like you're sitting down and you're around that campfire, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, that is so cool that you know, my mind has been swirling around that person that reached out to you and told you that they might not be here. Like, isn't it worth it, just like all that work to save that one life, like, or, you know, have that much impact on somebody that turned their direction? And, you know, and I think that, you know, I'm not sure what your belief system is, you know, whatever you believe. I think that positive energy just like has this higher wavelength and has, you know, everybody consumes it more. You know, there's a lot of evil going on right now, but you know, we all like to just kind of like turn the evil off and focus on things that feel good and give us that dopamine dump. But, you know, I think this is sort of what this forum, the impact that it has on the world, like, you know, being able to jump onto a topic that you're so passionate about and hear the expert in the field talk about that, you know, at length for 4 hours. You know, we can listen to, you know, Lex Friedman's like a MIT computer like engineer doctor, right? He's got his doctorate in that field, and you know, we're able to now sit into these real super high level conversations. And I think taking that quality of information and really is such a pure thing for our species. Like, if we talk about us as human beings, like, we're social, and I think that's how we've progressed over time. Like our language, right? Like connection. You know, surviving in the jungle, like we talked to each other and got away from things that might cause us harm. Like, we've landed on the moon because like, it wasn't one person or one field that helped, you know, us land on the moon, right? It was like a collection of people getting together and collaborating on this project. You know, whether or not you believe the moon landings were faked, right? That's another conversation. That's another conversation. Just look at a 747 flying through the air, and we can, you know, we collectively got together and figured out that technology. So,
absolutely.
I think, you know, like, anything that encourages people to talk is a good thing, right? Like even when you
Mm-hmm.
talk about like things like therapy, and not so much focusing on the negatives, but focusing on like
Yeah.
sort of how you get to the next step, how you transcend, how, you know, and really listening to each person as an individual. I think that's the connection, right? If the vulnerability and the door opening, as if, you know, if somebody feels like they relate, right? And the more we talk, the more I think we will relate. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like genuinely opening up and not just having that front and goofing up and just getting your thoughts out there, and allowing people to hear them, and then rebound. Like growing up, I'm not sure about you, but I kind of kept a lot in. I was more reserved, and
Mm.
I think the later on, like the further along I go, I get here, the more I realize that like I should have probably been like, you know, like there's no regrets or anything, but if there's always that post, like if you can go and tell your 15-year-old self like something that you know now, it's,
What
I
would it
think,
be?
what would it be? I love that.
Mm.
Like I know that, you know, over time people get to where they're going to get to because they have this collection of time, and the things that they learn over time that kind of forms the person that you are. But I wish
Mm.
I was more, like, I guess I was, I don't know, like I'm, you know, thinking about myself here, like, like I wish I allowed myself to like get into it more, you know what I mean, and not be as
Yeah.
like I'm fearless now. I love it. It's like
Nice.
whatever. I could just kind of throw it. I'm not out here for a malicious thing. I'm out here for like, let's spread the love. Let's be positive and push things forward. Right. Let's talk.
That's good.
Right. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So that's, you know, that's, I like. What about yourself? Like, how did it all start off for you? Like, what sort of, what keyed you in, or is it was like a relationship that you had with somebody that was already doing it? Like, what spurred you into doing all this?
As in podcasting, as in the
Everything,
business.
all of it. Yeah, all of it. Like, how did it evolve for you?
Yeah. So essentially, how it evolved for me was it all started off with I was doing digital marketing. So I was working as a
Yeah.
digital marketer at an insurance innovation consultancy. So we were just helping we were consulting insurers on how to go to market essentially. And I was a digital marketer for them. And when I was there, I started up a podcast. And before this, I'd been very entrepreneurial from when I was younger, you know, selling sweets in school and everything. And then you know, working for myself, just selling stuff on eBay, reselling and everything like that. Sneakers as well. I'd resell those too. That was a fun time. And essentially, I decided to go for a digital marketing role. Went for a digital marketing role, was in that for a bit. And then after that, then it came to a point where um, there was that point where we started the podcast, or we were on Clubhouse, and then we started the podcast and everything. And then I think about a few months in, they said essentially we don't need you anymore. At the role I was at, they said essentially we don't need you anymore. The contract is coming up to an end. Like, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I guess I've got two options. I've got the one option, which is to move on to a different role, maybe in sales, maybe in digital marketing, in a different company, but it just wouldn't be here. Or the second option is to become an entrepreneur. So something I've been thinking about for quite a while. And I said, let me become that entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
So started up my own business as a digital marketer, and that was rough. Very bumpy, very, very bumpy. And doing the podcast at the same time was not an easy task. So whilst I was growing the podcast with my friend and I was also growing my business, I said something has to give. And we were speaking earlier about focus, follow one course until successful. I was following two. And I said, okay, cool. This isn't going to work. I need something to be automated here. So I said, hold on. What if I looked at my podcast, and what if I got an editor and I got a creative director? Surely there would be a lot less work on my hands. So I said, hold on a sec. This might be pretty useful for other people who have a business and who also have a podcast and want the podcast to help the business, but they don't have any time to work on the business because they're spending all their time on a podcast. So I started offering a solution to my clients. My clients started saying yes. I started getting more clients off the back of that as well. And lo and behold, I had a new offer. And the offer was to basically automate podcasts. And now the podcast had been automated, the one that the one that I was talking about earlier. And also, my business was going a lot better, and it was more focused around podcasting, but it was podcast automation. And then I started working with more and more clients, and it started to get a higher and higher ticket. And we moved more into the B2B space specifically. I like the B2B space and I like the B2B tech space. And we realized that people were coming to us and not just for podcasts, but they were coming to us for thought leadership. They wanted to become thought leaders. They wanted to become the industry authorities. They wanted to be looked at as, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. I want to come to them whenever I need something that they like, whenever I need one of their services, or whenever I need something from, I guess, their repertoire of services, I will go to them, right? They are the industry leaders. That's what they wanted to be known as. And the way that they thought that they could get there is through a podcast. And they were very correct. And that's exactly what I started to help more and more people do. And that's when I transitioned into a thought leadership agency. And now we're actually looking more to become growth partners, because we don't just do the podcast. Of course, we help with the thought leadership, but then the thought leadership and the podcast helps with the overall growth of the actual business itself and the company itself. So we're actually moving towards the kind of growth consultancy route. So we're actually practitioners and we're consultants, which is a pretty interesting, I guess, evolution.
Yeah.
But yeah, it all started from that digital marketing role.
Yeah. Taking one step, the next step, and just keep pushing forward, right? That's cool.
Exactly.
What does it take to be a thought leader? Like, what does it take? You know, is it just a singular person? Can it be anybody that could be a thought leader, in your opinion?
I believe that if you have a strong opinion, okay, well, first of all, we have to take it and break it down. What is a thought leader, right? So you have thought and you have leader, okay? So the first thing is you have to have some sort of an opinion. You have to have some sort of thought, right? Because without the thought, you can't be a thought leader. It's part of the name, right? And then the next thing you need is to be a leader. You have to have the leadership. You have to have some sort of leadership. And this is the thing. With a leader has to have followers. Otherwise, you're just going on a trip by yourself, right? So you have to have some sort of an opinion, and you have to have some sort of followers, right? You have to cultivate some sort of following. And that is what a thought leader is. Have an opinion and gather an audience. And that is essentially what it is. And yes, anyone could become a thought leader, but should everyone be a thought leader? That's a different question. That's the
dangerous question, Jonathan. Careful. Yeah, everyone
I can't say if everyone should, but I will say that everyone can, right?
Yeah.
And this is the thing. A lot of people have, like, there are so many different thought leaders in so many different industries. So, for example, I recently was invited to Nelson Mandela's daughter's book launch, which was amazing, like really, really good. And I was able to meet the daughter of a very, very great man. And that is a very, very great lady, like a very, very lovely lady that of course was his daughter. And I was able to see the legacy of what he's been able to create through his thought leadership. And this is the thing, thought leadership doesn't need LinkedIn. Thought leadership doesn't necessarily mean Instagram. It means cultivating some sort of a movement, because Nelson Mandela didn't have Instagram. Nelson Mandela didn't have TikTok. Nelson Mandela didn't have YouTube, right? Nelson Mandela didn't have these things. He was making a change because he had a very strong opinion. He was authentic with his message, and he was making a change. That was a movement that he was actually, he started a movement. And I'm not sure if you know how small he was, but he was a very small man. And he was able to make such big ripples, like such big changes in the way that the world works. It was insane. And that was because of his thought leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that other people like, go on.
Isn't that thought there is really interesting, isn't it? Like how if you kind of consider us, like our species, as like an ant colony, like, there's the one queen, right? How does that happen? Like how does like one person over time garner that much influence over a collection of people? And it's all boils down to the idea and the output, I suppose. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think it boils down to the input. So what thought are you actually like what thought are you putting out there? Because the output is what comes of that. Like that is what the result of it is. So for example, he had to have there was a vision behind what even MLK, I have a dream. Yeah. Like that speech was his whole mission. That was the vision. That's like, I see this vision. Let's run, not even walk. Let's run towards this vision. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
right? Thought leadership. I believe that people can become thought leaders, and it can help with them with their business, and
Yeah.
it can help them actually push forwards a valuable message. I only work with people of value and people who bring value to their markets, in my opinion, of course, and
Yeah.
people who bring
Yeah.
value to their markets in a positive way.
Yeah.
And that is what really guides me in the way that I do business, and it's what really guides the people that follow me as well, because I live by a set of values, and I have a mission that I'm going by, and that allows other people to join that mission with me. And it's the same thing as all of these thought leaders as well. They have a mission. That guy's Mahatma Gandhi, a mission, a vision, had a vision for a better world.
Mhm.
Like, you have to have a vision, you have to have a mission to be a thought leader, because that is when people can actually follow you. Right, leaders have to know where they're going in the first place. So even if you look at a pirate ship, this is something it's a funny little example I always give. If you look at pirates back in the day, right, they always had to have an X on the map, and the captain of the ship was the one that would be looking at the map, and he would say, "This is where we're going."
Yeah.
If there wasn't an X on the map, he would just be leading them in circles, and then the
Yeah.
crew would leave him because he has no vision. He doesn't know where he's going.
Yeah.
So you have to understand, okay, where is the X? What is
Yeah.
the vision? What is the mission? And
Yeah.
you can bring people to come and get to that place as well.
And also too, like, especially in the dental industry and the dental, like on the dental, this is where we'll talk about dentistry, like in the in the dental practice. And this is obviously transcends just the dental practice, but you know, systems all day long.
Yes.
Like, yes, we're going to that X, but like, how are we going to do that efficiently? And who are we going to put on what task? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can still go in circles around that X if you don't have the proper systems too, right?
That's good.
Yeah. That's my shot at an analogy. There you go.
No, that was very good. I like that.
You can borrow it. Yeah.
I think I will.
Yeah.
I think I will.
Yeah.
That was great.
Clip it. What else is really top of mind to you right now? Where does everything go from here? I know, like, obviously the world went over a massive collective speed bump with COVID. And I think, you know, personally, that was a lot of time for me to, like, I was in the position too, where I was laid off and had to really reevaluate my direction. Where is everything going from here, in your opinion? Like with this sort of online forum, with what's important for marketing in business, what's impactful, what can we kind of do away with and evolve into? What are your thoughts there?
Well, as I told you, I was at an advertising event over the past 3 days, and as we know, everybody's talking about AI, and we can't talk about the future without talking about AI, right?
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to marketing and, you know, the future of the world and such, AI is going to have a very, very, very big impact, extremely big impact. I didn't realize how big it would be until I went to this event over the last 3 days. And we have to ask ourselves, what is going to separate ourselves from AI? Because ultimately, a lot of the content that is going to be generated is going to be AI based, or is going to be AI influenced, right?
Yeah.
Even if you look on LinkedIn, they have the create a post section, and it's like, okay, oh yeah, this is AI supported now, so AI will help you to actually write your post. So ultimately, we're going to get to a point where it's like, okay, cool, so what is AI and what isn't? Meaning that we're going to have to be even more authentic. We're going to have to be even more human, as human as possible. That is the route that we're going to have to go down to actually separate ourselves from these robots, from AI, right? Otherwise, it's like, what's the difference? What is actually the difference? And one of the ways in doing that is podcasting, is video content, actually being in front of the camera and speaking as a person. And also, this is the thing, video content can be doctored. Video content can be AI generated, right? You can have that stuff AI. We've seen it before, right? I think it's
there's some influencers on Instagram that are just not real. They're not, they're computer generated people, and they have, like, honestly, a huge following. It's crazy.
It is absolutely wild. But then this is I think where things are going is in-person events. Because you can't AIify I just made a word. Mark,
AIify.
Okay,
I'm writing this one down. The book name and AIify. All right, I'm using it.
I'll trademark that.
Yeah, thanks.
You can't AIify an event. You can't an in-person event. You can't.
No, you're
unless
right.
You get some sort of super great hologram, which is probably coming maybe in couple hundred years or so.
I've seen them
maybe
already.
Even 50 years. But my thing is how realistic are they? And you can't go and shake a hologram's hand. You can go and shake a robot's hand. You can go and shake I don't know what else you're gonna shake, but what you can't fake is real human interaction in person.
Right.
So that will, for now, you can't do that for now.
For now.
So this is the thing. In-person events, I think there is a very, very, very big opportunity in in-person events, because that is the most authentic that you can be.
Yeah.
And how do you get people to in-person events? You build a connection with them online. And what is the closest thing you can do with building a connection online is talking to them. Talking to them over and over and over again, and being front of mind. And that is something that we're always telling clients, just be front of mind.
Yeah.
Be front of mind. You don't have to have hundreds of millions of views. You don't have to have thousands of views. Maybe it's a couple hundred. Maybe it's like 50 views. But if it's the 50 of the right people that you're speaking to on a frequent basis, that could be all you need.
Yeah.
That could, just think of how much a client is worth to you. That can literally be all you need, right?
Yeah.
And if you can get them down to an event, even better.
Yeah. Love it. I love it. I couldn't agree more. Like, here's my thoughts. Like, a scary time is when, eventually we're all going to be AIified and have like an assistant, right? Yeah. So imagine this, like you have your assistant talking to somebody else's assistant, and there's no real actual communication between the people.
Wow. Yeah.
That's already kind of, it's going that way. And I don't think we really comprehend, I don't think we have the capacity to really understand this is like, it's not going to stop. It's going to evolve into everything that we do. Like how much impact that AI is going to be, I think the biggest impact on humans, bigger than the Industrial Revolution, bigger than the invention of the transistor. I think AI is going to be bigger than all of it. Like, here's the thing. Like, I understand the fear with it. I think I love the idea of events and face-to-face and everything. And maybe with AI, this is, think positive about it. And that's like always when change comes down the pipe, it's the fear, right? Yeah. There was fear when we created, the electrical current, was going to kill people on the street, these wires that were going to send the electrons down this wire. So let's think positively about it. And at the end of the day, hopefully it doesn't turn into Skynet and launch nuclear weapons. Like, don't worry about that kind of thing. Like, it's a tool. It's a tool at the end of the day. And the way that you make, like, I already know when I'm reading a post if it's written by AI. It just kind of has that smell, I'm using it, like, I wouldn't be able to do as much as I can do today if I didn't implement AI in my activities and in my tasks. Same. Like, there's no way. It's like, it's actually, it's already having an impact on my life, even in the, like, how long, it started with ChatGPT, and now it's like, there's all these other interesting video tools that help me clip things and et cetera, right? But at the end of the day, it's the more input you get it. Sometimes, like, when I'm writing something like a prompt, I'll send like a page long prompt and let it spit back, what it thinks, and then I'll adjust it. Like, I won't just like use the first prompt. I'll regurgitate it, like, at sometimes like 5 or 6 times before I look down and read it and go, okay, this is something that I would that I would write if I knew how to spell and my grammar was good. It's my idea, but it's just written really well. And it doesn't look like a fabrication or something that I wouldn't have put out. And I think that's sort of how we get away from that ungenuine usage of it, where the fear, like, where I could see it going really bad for people. And, it's like, we put lead into fuel, like, it's one of those impacts that had like such a negative impact, putting lead into fuel because NOx in an engine, right? And we correlated the lead in our atmosphere to like a decline in adolescence brain development, right? There's a direct correlation in that, right? So where I see this invention of AI becoming like a crutch for people, where they're not really they're kind of leaning on it too hard, and it's becoming sort of, it's doing everything for them. And the worry for me is like, we're not growing as human beings. We're just kind of like letting the systems and this technology sort of take the reins away from us. And it's, that's
have you seen Wall-E?
Wall-E, yes, exactly.
Yeah, Wall-E.
That's exactly where my head always goes. So we're in this spaceship. We've destroyed the planet, and we're in some spaceship, bad people in front of screens, and we're not actually communicating. Like that concept to me is sort of like, that's where we go awry, where we just let the tool become us, and it's not us anymore. Maybe that's just me being fearful of it. I think there's enough smart people at the helm right now that are really trying to manage, and really put a lot of thought into the safety behind it, and where we're using it in certain applications. Like, for instance, we talk about radiography, which is X-ray. It's being used. I've got a surgeon friend here in Vancouver that's already been implemented in his all of his scans, his radiography, and it's the AI circling things of notice. Like, take a look at this, and he's finding cancers that he might not have spotted.
Wow.
So that's like, when we think about these things, like let's implement them in places where we're gonna miss out, and let's implement them in places where we're saving so much time with our day-to-day that now we can go to a face-to-face event somewhere,
Yes.
And like, our time on this planet is so finite. So if we can get more done, if we could get way more done with littler time, like we might just have more time to like, our quality of life might shoot through the roof, and we're we're exploring things that we might not have had time to explore before as people, because we have these tools in place that save us that much time. Like, honestly, even in writing an email, putting all the thought into that email, prompted correctly, reprompted. I don't know if that's a word there. A reprompt.
Maybe it's something that you just
regurgiprompt things.
Yeah.
and let it still be us that's communicating, and let us use it as a tool. Let us use the technology as a tool. Let it be the next Boeing 747 that's like transporting us to the other side of the planet in 24 hours, and not having to jump on a ship and travel across the Atlantic Ocean in 2 weeks. Let it be that for us, then pumping lead into the atmosphere. Like, let's control it. Let's be smart about it. And here I am being an expert on AI. Like, I'm just some Joe Schmo in Vancouver on a dental podcast, right? Like, I again, like, from my vantage point, and for what I've seen it do currently, is a really good friend that I trust and adore and admire is using it to spot cancers in people that he might have missed with his human eye. I'm using it for just to try and save myself some time, so that like I can really get home and hang out with my kids at the end of the day. Like the greatest gift to us is time, right? Because we can't go to a machine and swipe a card and get some more time, like that other movie with
oh, you seen that too? I was just thinking about that movie. I was just thinking about, is that the one where they
On Time or something, right? It's
something like that, and then they have like the things on their wrist.
That's right. Yeah. It's Justin Timberlake or something like that. Yeah, it's another good. I love that concept, like how all these rich people just like, they hoarded all this time, and they lived in this gated colony or whatever, right? But
that was a really interesting movie.
It was. What a great concept, right? Like, money is nothing if you're running across the house to try and save your mom, and put time on her things so that she doesn't, you know what I mean? Like,
it's such an interesting concept, and you said time is such it's a finite thing. And that is literally why we do what we do. And that's another reason why we do what we do, because time is just something you can't get back.
That's
so
right.
Let's give it back to you, right?
Yeah.
And that time could be used doing something even higher leverage, which will maybe even give you more time.
Yeah.
Right. So that is exactly why we do what we do.
And that thought right there, Johnathan, is why I think AI is going to have the biggest impact on people. I think there's enough people and we're talking about it. Like everybody's talking about it. So we're going to work it out. This time I think it's not in some laboratory room where we're like, mixing chemicals together and creating that, or Oppenheimer, where they, it was the Manhattan Project. They're all like making the nuclear bomb. Like maybe we shouldn't have done that. Right now, this is kind of like open form. Like we're all going through this. We're all implementing AI where I think it fits in a positive fashion. It's just a matter of OpenAI just being like, and all these companies that are developing these language models and other models, like being responsible, I think, So that's something I think about this stuff all the time. It fascinates the hell out of me. It's just super interesting, right? Like the amount of, I mean, it's so cool. It has like been such a really like I'm the world's worst speller and I'm terrible at grammar. Like I'm dyslexic, right? Like I can't like to now have this tool where I can write and get my thoughts out and across at a really nice, eloquent way. Like video's been my form to communicate. Now I have like this tool to really help me communicate over written, so it's been awesome. It's been so cool.
And I'd argue that's part of what makes you human as well. The fact that you are dyslexic, and that is, I would even encourage you to not necessarily lead with that and say it in every post, but have it somewhere, maybe in the description saying, oh yeah, like I have dyslexic, and maybe just putting it out there, because it makes you a human. Like even if you do have spelling mistakes, people know why.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like honestly, like social anxiety too. Like I was the kid in school that was like my palms would sweat and I would be so anxious like a week before I had to do that, go in front of the class and do a
week. Wow.
A full week. Like I fixated on it. Like, like that was me. So I think, like face your fears is like conquer them. It's liberating, right? It's like, then you can move on to your next, like challenge for me. I don't know about you. Challenge for me has always been internal. It's always been an internal thing. Self-doubt, like confidence and all that kind of stuff. So, my limitations have always been internal. Like, I think, and maybe that's a lot of people, but if we can remove our limitations, I think everybody, like with an unselfish, end goal. And my end goal is like, I want to do everything that I possibly can to impart as much positivity and in my life, that, whoever I'm touched or whoever's connected to me, like is enriched, and they can, it's like this flourishing ball of energy that helps other things grow. Like, I don't know if it's a thing in your in anywhere in your your realm, like in your business, to just taking down barriers, right? I can see that being like a real challenge for you in doing this thing and overcoming this thing where you're just like, let's just put ourselves out there. Like, don't, like, you're not like, there's so many other people doing negative things and doing selfish things. The people that are doing negative and selfish things will be smelt out and dealt with. Like, you see it time and time again. Like, these people are put like open on a platform and reduced. Like, the champions of the world are the guys like, the sports, the athletes that are giving back. Those are always the ones that it's always those ones that are so like whiny about it and negative about it. Like, let's move away from selfish gain and ego. I think ego is another really huge thing that plays into all this. Like if your ego's so big that you can't talk to anybody, or like it's that borderline, narcissistic types, right? Like there's this study out there that showed that a lot of CEOs out there are narcissists. Like it's like this like I think business itself kind of does that, right? Like you kind of have to be like at the top level, at the director level, you kind of have to like be emotionalist, like have no emotion. And there's been certain conversations that I had over time that like it's like, sorry Mark, this is just business. I don't know if I'll ever be like able to wrap my head around that concept. Like, sorry, I'm being inhumane. Sorry, I'm being inhumane, but this is just business. Like, there was a point of time where I was not performing, in my job. And it was because I was with my sister. It was a time where she was really, really sick and I wasn't able to just fully operate and be myself. And I was let go. I was let go of my position. I mean, I didn't say how dare you or whatever, but like, I just remember that, like, sorry, Mark, this is just business. To me, it's not. It's got to be more than just business, especially when we talk about engagement with employees and things like that. Like, if it's just business, then why bother having like a team meeting? You know what I mean? Like, like if you want engagement from people, it's got to be more than just business. It's got to be a personal thing. It's got to be, especially if somebody's going to buy in. So I don't know. That's my soapbox rant. And we were just talking about AI, and now we're talking about anyways.
Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah. What are you seeing out there in terms of business? Is it like we all got rocked with the whole COVID thing? Did you like that was a hard time? Like, what was sort of your experience with that time?
That was a time that we were actually starting up. We were starting up this business. So it was around that kind of time, it was still an interesting time to be starting up because a lot of people are at home. And I mean, I was at home a lot. Yeah. Because you couldn't go anywhere in London. Everything was locked down in those times. So it was a difficult time. But for me, I know that difficult times don't last very long. And the funny thing about difficult times is they always keep coming back. So like there will always be good times, there'll be not so great times, good times, not so great times. But that time was particularly difficult because there wasn't really much that you can do other than stay inside. But it did allow me to focus. And I like looking at the silver lining on everything. It allowed me to focus and it allowed me to get off the ground. And it allowed us to get the podcast off the ground as well and keep it celebrating with that too. So and I know it was a very tough time for a lot of people, even for people that are quite close to my family. It was a tough time for us. Even lost a few people, unfortunately.
Oh, no. I'm sorry to hear.
Yeah, but I was still able to see the silver lining, which was I was able to focus, able to build more of a relationship with my family as well, and get to know me a little bit better. And that's something I've been doing recently, getting to know me a little bit better. So even that solo trip in Mexico helped a lot as well. Yeah,
awesome. I love it. Johnathan, this has been awesome. I usually only do a half an hour. This is like we're going past an hour here. So
wow.
I've loved this conversation. It's been amazing connecting with you. I'd love to do this again. I would really love to do this again. If folks want to find you, get in contact with you, how are they going to do that?
The best way to do it is LinkedIn. So that's Johnathan Reid on LinkedIn. JONATHAN REID. Okay. And you'll find everything about me on there.
There you go. Any interesting thoughts, quotes that you want to sort of leave with here?
Yes, I do actually have. Can I do 2?
You can do 3. You can do 5. You do as many as you want. Yeah. I give you the floor.
Thank you very much. First thing I'd say is one thing I like to say quite a lot, which is you turn into what you tune into. So you have to understand and you have to know, okay, what am I tuning into? Because that's ultimately what I would turn into. Your mom might have said when you were younger, or your mom might have said when you were younger, you are what you eat. And it's so true. It's the same thing as if you're consuming the media, like the type of media that you don't really want to have, in your brain. You don't want to see it out there in the world. Why are you consuming that?
So you turn into what you tune into. I'm an entrepreneur. I consume a lot of business stuff. I'm very focused on my faith. I consume a lot of that kind of stuff as well. I'm very focused on mindset. I consume a lot of that stuff as well. So that is the kind of stuff that comes out of my mouth, right? One thing I like to say as well is that, like, focus on the things that make sense to you. Focus on the things that make sense to you, not the things that don't make any sense, because otherwise the things that come out of your mouth won't make any sense. It's all about what goes in. Your inputs determine your outputs, right? That's another thing. I would also say that your attitude determines your outcome. Honestly, like, one thing we've been speaking about today is that positivity, and your attitude determines your outcome, right? Whenever it comes to, and this is aside from business, this is aside from thought leadership, this is aside from podcasting, this is just life. Honestly, if we all had a more positive attitude, we would get a much better outcome, and a perspective would be much better as well. Like, you get what you see, or you get what you are, sorry, you get in this world what you are, and you see in this world what you are. So as Mark was saying earlier, it's about that internal, and the internal actually reflected the external. Is there anything else I would say?
It'll come to you when you're laying down in bed later. Like, oh,
it will. It will as well. And another thing is, just start. If you haven't started your podcast, if you haven't started putting your content out there on social media, please start. Trust me, you won't regret it. You will not regret it at all.
That's my favorite. Awesome. And with that being said, thanks again. Thanks for your time, and have a lovely weekend.
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate it.